Well, hi everyone. Welcome and thank you for being here. A special live video in memory of Tanya. It's a hard one to do, but she was loved by so many, and that's why I decided that she deserved to have time. First of all, welcome to everybody and thank you for joining us. Thank you, Chris and Kim. And let's just go through some of the things that we remember Tanya for. She's been with us from way back, way back. And for her blogs, The Ponderings of a Hobnob. Why she chose that name? Does anybody know why she chose that name? But anyway, she's been loved by so many since. I've never heard a bad word said about Tanya. And it's so sad. And she was posting up until last week, I think, a short while ago anyway. So I just wanted and hoped that some of you had some memories that we can share with you and go through some of the things that she's achieved. I mean, trying to get justice for Maddie, she had a talent for writing, and I'm sure all of you know from her blogs. I'm just amazed, whenever I read her blog, how great she was at writing, and also the dedication. I mean, this is the one thing. She wanted justice for Maddie. We will get there, Tanya. Now, some of the things, I've been reading some of the things that people have said about her. I mean, she was so caring and also funny. She for some reason, it always made me laugh when I saw her ending a message with smooches and hugs. I mean, that was Tanya, wasn't it? And we all know about her love of hedgehogs and her cats. Now, hedgehogs, I mean, how many people in your life do you know that love hedgehogs, except Tanya? I mean, we love hedgehogs, but for Tanya, they were special. And I think this is one that's Hermione. I mean, how cute is that? She was always posting about her hedgehogs and helping them. And I mean, she did a lot for animals from what I can see. And yeah, hedgehogs and animals. That's what she loved. And hopefully it will continue. Take note. So anyway, it was difficult to find some things, but I took a couple of quotes from her Facebook group, and I figured this tells you or helps to tell you who Tanya was. Always be kind. If you see someone falling behind, walk beside them. If someone is being ignored, find a way to include them. If someone has been knocked down, lift them up. And always remind people of their worth. Be who you needed when you were going through hard times. Just one small act of kindness could mean the world to someone. I mean, does that not tell you who Tanya is? And another one. You may think that you're completely insignificant in this world, but someone drinks coffee from the favorite cup that you gave them. Someone heard a song on the radio that reminded them of you. Someone read the book that you recommended and plunged headfirst into it. Someone smiled after a hard day of work because they remembered the joke that you told them today. Someone loves themselves a little bit more because you gave them a compliment. Never think that you have no influences whatsoever. Your touch, word, and good deed which you leave behind cannot be erased. And that is such a lovely post. I mean, she did lots, but I just took these two in particular because they are so heartwarming, so much the person that was Tanya. Now, this one, slightly different, but it's still Tanya. I have the ability to drive people crazy. I don't know if I was born with it or if I learnt it, but damn, I'm good at it. So, I mean, her personality just covered so much. And she is just somebody that I'm so happy that we can just take time to remember. Now, is there anybody who does have any messages that they'd like to put here on the screen to remember her by? Can you see any, Shirley? I have difficulty reading the chat, so I'm just wondering. I noticed that we have Clunge, is it? That's her brother, I believe. Is that right?
Yes, he said he's her brother. He's made a couple comments that I'll put up there. First off, there's this.
And actually, Clunge, if you'd like to come up and speak to us, that would be great. It's up to you. I guess I'd have to wait before I see. But I'm so sorry. I just feel so sad for the family. I mean, it's such a shock to us when every one of us heard, we were just so shocked. And I don't know what happened. And I personally, I don't think it's that important. What's important is to remember Tanya and what she's done for us, the Maddie case, individuals, animals, everything. That's why she had all her hedgehogs colored with nail polish to identify them. Oh, that's cute. That's so cute. So are you now looking after a hedgehog's, Clunge? I wonder. That's so sad. You know, when somebody goes, the animals that they looked after must be very sad for them, you know, not to have their usual meals and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, at least my animals, you know, they go through a grieving process too.
Yeah. I don't know about a hedgehog, but I
don't know. I don't know about hedgehogs either, but I kind of believe that no matter what kind of an animal you love, if you love it, it knows it's loved and it's going to miss that. So
yeah.
Oh, maybe not spiders, but I don't know. I don't know spiders, but
don't make me laugh. Okay, we've got
so Lizzie, so excuse me. So he said he would love to have been able to, but I live on the other side of town. I think that's in reference to taking care of her animals.
Okay. Okay. Would he like to come up, do you think? Well, anyway, it's up to him. So Kath Ellison at Clunge, and this is so true. Your sister will fly high in the next life as she did in this. A funny, talented lady. Blessings and light to all friends and family. Here's
another one.
Yeah, RP. Here celebrating Tanya Cadogan and her life. She deserves it. I think, I don't know about you, Shirley. I'm not sure you were into the Maddie case enough to know Tanya.
No, I do not.
Yeah. But she touched so many people. And Jill from Complete Mystery of Madeleine McCann, she was always posting in there and really featured. In fact, if you visit there, you will find a lot of Tanya's blogs in there, as well as on her actual blog, which I think probably Kerry has put link to.
Yes, she did.
And also Peter Hyatt analysis. He was. I think Tanya was very much involved in posting and involved with the analysis part of it, along with Peter. So thanks, Peter, for keeping her occupied on that. That's really great. Now, the last cat is still missing. Oh, God, is still missing. But I'm spending time each day putting food and water out for the last holdout cat. Oh, well, let's hope that soon he'll show up or she'll show up. It's just everything about this is so sad. But anyway, the one thing that Tanya was known for was her blog. And, well, maybe before we get to her blog, let's just have a look at her profile so that we can all get an idea of who Tanya was. And of course, I can't read it easily, but I don't know if others can read it. I think, I think it just gives her details. But more, I wanted to highlight, I wanted to showcase one of her blogs, and I just wasn't sure which one that I wanted to focus on. And then I discovered it. And I think it's the one blog that if anybody was to ask Tanya, who didn't know anything, was to ask Tanya about the Maddie case, it would be about what she believed happened to Maddie. So I would like to read that out to you, if I may. It was, she posted it on May the 30th, I think, 2015. And yeah, Saturday, May the 30th, 2015. What I believe may have happened to Madeleine McCann. I believe that Maddie died sometime during the vacation before Thursday, May the 3rd. Now, before I go any further, I just want to let you know there's a couple of words in here that the YouTube bots pick you up on. So if I just use the first initial, hopefully you can understand. Cadaverine was found behind the sofa, means she lay there for at least 90 minutes. If she died in the apartment, so that's how long, depending on the manner of death and the environmental conditions, temperature, humidity, etc. This would blow away the claims of 30-minute checks of the children that night, since they clearly didn't notice her missing for at least 90 minutes. Given also the fact the apartment was almost forensically cleaned to the extent there was little evidence there were 3 children present, and we all know how wet and sticky children can be, especially at their ages, there was little or no DNA that Maddie was ever present. Forensics look for what is there that shouldn't be, just as importantly, what isn't there that should be. This tells me that time had to be taken to clean the apartment, something not possible in those time frames given for Thursday, May the 3rd. This then tells me that Maddie died sometime earlier in the week. Looking at the statements and how much is written concerning each day of the trip, I and others have noticed there seems to be a lot missing from one day of the week. It might be the Monday or Tuesday. I can't recall off the top of my head. This is noted in all the statements from the group. We go from quite detailed to obfuscation, and I can't remember which makes the day sensitive and thus requiring further information as to why the sensitivity. If she died much earlier in the week, as is probable, then there's plenty of time to clean up, laundering and hiding the body. Think about it for a moment. Thursday was the very last night they could have had the abduction, since on Friday they would be on their way home. There was actually a tennis dinner on the Friday. It was Saturday they were going home, but that's okay. They would not have announced it earlier since they needed time for the cleanup, sorting out timelines and concealing Maddie's body. Also, since this is the McCanns and chums, why spoil a good vacation by calling out the fake abduction any earlier? Thus, Thursday was the only day they could have used. They knew they would have to stay in Portugal. The interviews by the PJ, the alleged searching, plus the free accommodation for desperate, innocent parents, and it also meant that they could fly family and friends out for a freebie, as well as under the guise of helping and support. Now, why did the McCanns act the way they did? Innocent parents act a specific and expected way. Guilty parents act a specific and expected way, as in unexpected for innocent parents. The two are mutually exclusive. Innocent parents, had there been an accident, would have called 911, even if she was long dead. The parents are in denial and will always hope for a miracle. Even though there are doctors, they would have still called 911 simply because a hospital has the equipment and staff, something the parents and the chums didn't have. The fact that they didn't call 911 means that there was something they could not explain away as accidental. If they found her dead, there was evidence that could not be explained away as accidental. This could be current injuries, old and healing injuries, evidence of sedation, especially long-term sedation. I think Shannon Matthews and the hair tests, and signs of sexual injuries and abuse, either old or new. If injuries, then if old, medical records would show if she'd been treated in hospital or by a GP. If signs of long-term drugs, then medical records would indicate if they had been prescribed and who by. Sexual injuries would result in a lot of darn awkward questions as to who had access to the children and when, any criminal records or history, if not charged. If it had been, for example, drug ingestion, then they could have claimed she found the candy and ate it and they didn't notice, and only realized when they found her unresponsive or dead the next day. This would have meant them calling 911 as would be expected, since they didn't know or hear anything and thus could not have been charged. If she had fallen and banged her head and died, again, they could not have claimed to be sleeping, the sleep of the intoxicated, and only found her the next morning dead behind the sofa. Again, the expected would be they called 911. Since they did not know or hear anything and thus could not have been charged. So this begs the question, why not? What was done that they could not explain it away, as it was an accident, either falling whilst they were asleep or eating medication again whilst they were asleep? The obvious conclusion is that they could not allow an autopsy because of what would be revealed. Evidence of physical injuries, sedation, or sexual abuse would result in arrest and prosecution, since none could be explained away. This would also account for why the medical records were not released. Evidence of injuries, UTIs, etc., and no visit to the hospital or GP. The GMC would also be involved if they were self-medicating and self-prescribing. If sexual abuse was present, likely the most obvious reason, then it points straight to Jerry and also to the men of the tapas group. And given the previous statements from the doctors Gaspar, David Payne would be high on the list, as well as Matthew Oldfield, since he too checked on the children that Thursday night, allegedly. If it was recent, then they could have blamed the P abductor if Maddie had been found within days. And again, dependent on the condition of the body. If the injuries were old and Maddie was found within a few days, again, it points straight to Jerry and anyone who had access to the children. It would not account for a P abductor, since the injuries would be older than the timeline could account for. Kate introduced the word M when using the process of free editing. Words are thought in a microsecond before being spoken. M is what was at the forefront of Kate's mind when she spoke. This then precludes an accidental death. Otherwise, she would have said accidental death or even death. Now, Laurie Campbell in Praia Deluge on September the 9th, a Daily Mirror interview, quote, "They want me to lie. I'm being framed. Police don't want a M in Portugal and all the publicity about them not having P laws here. So they're blaming us." It's worth noticing that she takes ownership of lying and being framed. The assumption is by the police, but she doesn't tell us the police want her to lie or to frame her. She could be referring to the members of the group, including Jerry. The pronoun us shows unity and shared cooperation, often found when the guilty want to minimize their own role in the crime and spread the guilt. Ask anyone with children and teenagers, and the ever popular everyone else was doing it as well. Excuse number one. Both Kate and Jerry and even Clary have told us Maddie is dead, though not how or at whose hand that I can see, although the tapas group have indicated Maddie was bumped on the head, an active action, something done deliberately as opposed to having bumped her head, which is passive and done accidentally. They also leaked that there were several doctors in the group who could have resuscitated her. This then indicates a violent action occurred, something that could not be explained away, such as her falling and bumping her head, such as off the sofa. This would lead me to ask where the injury was. That it could not be explained away as an accident. This would include things such as finger marks. Remember the bruises on Kate's arm? Jewelry marks, the location of the injury, etc. Perhaps even the multiple injuries, perhaps caused when someone loses their temper and beats the victim. They may not have set out to kill the victim. They just couldn't stop themselves until they were either exhausted or were pulled away by someone. Again, bruises on Kate's arm and wrist. Whatever the cause, whoever did it, the parents could not allow an autopsy to be performed because of the consequences to themselves. If it was a member of the group, why would they not point the finger? Their daughter, killed by a family friend. The guilt would lie solely with the guilty person, not the parent. They would have sympathy and even donations for the funeral, unless, of course, they knew said friend's little peccadillos, in which case questions would be asked as to how much they knew and why they allowed said person access to their children, and then an investigation into whether they themselves had little peccadillos. There is also the risk of the guilty person would drop them in it as well, on the grounds of with me. There is a huge secret being hidden. Swinging, it is not since no one cares. What you do with your sex lives, if it's legal and consensual, although you may find your friends who aren't into each other putting a lot of distance between them and you, and a good many more introducing themselves. Tanya Cadogan, May the 30th, 2015, at 7:49 p.m. So I was really happy to find that that blog, and I think it's important. The reason we're here is to remember Tanya, and the biggest thing that we know Tanya for, apart from her personality, which we all know, is her blogs. So I thank you for letting me go through that and read it to you. So can you just excuse me for just one moment?
So I'm just putting some comments up on the screen. So and for anybody, I posted it in chat. Her brother is in the chat. I don't know how you're pronouncing your username, Klung or Clunge. I don't know. But that's her brother. So if anybody has anything that they want to say.
Tanya concluded a blog with a line that stands as true now. This is from her brother, as it was when she posted it. We are the family you deserved and the voice you never had. That was to Maddie. Wonderful. Thanks for that, Clunge. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right too. I'd rather. So, okay. Pesmez says, sorry for being late, but I want to express my condolences to Tanya's family and friends. I knew her more from Peter Hyatt's blog starting in 2008. She had a keen mind and a great sense of humor. Yeah, she is so known for that. I think everybody mentions about her humor, and she'll be sadly missed. She really will. Tanya, from her brother. Tanya had such an insightful way of communicating, either by text or voice. She was able to get her point across. Yeah, I think one of the major things, it's not just about her having a blog. I could have a blog, but I could never write it anything close to what Tanya was able to get across. She really had a way with her writing. She was very talented in that area, very talented. And well, we're going to miss them. We're going to miss the blogs. But there's lots to go back on. There's one thing I wanted to ask. As I was looking through her blogs, I couldn't find an index. Is there any anyone who can give a link or let us have a link to where we might find an index of her blogs? I really wanted to search through it and I couldn't find it. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But I think it's important that we find that index of all her blogs. Very important. So Mez says, Clunge, my deepest condolences to you and your family. Tanya was really one of a kind. So fun to interact with her all those years back on the statement analysis blog. She was so smart, kind, and funny, and caring, and her animals. I mean, you can go on. You can probably name all the lovely things anybody could say about anybody, and Tanya would fit it. Yeah, Claire, you love Tanya's blog. I've seen so many people that I didn't even realize were actually in the Maddie community that actually love Tanya's blog. I really, really am surprised. So please always remember that even though she may not be here physically, her persona, her whole being, if you like, is now shared amongst those who knew her. Yeah. And I'm just happy to do this little live just to I guess grieve, remember, I think is more important. Remember what she's done for us all. There isn't anybody who would have anything to say against Tanya. She's one of those rare people in life that you just never hear anything bad about. So RP, to her brother, our condolences. She departed too soon, and she'll be remembered and missed. Her contribution to Madeleine McCann's cause will linger for many years to come. Rest in peace, Tanya. Yeah, and that's why I think it's so important that we actually really would be lovely. I mean, if there's one thing we can give Tanya is give her the views on the blog. I'd really love to see her see that happen. And if anybody else has any ideas, please let me know. From Jan Sabin, Piers, God bless you. It was such a blessing to know her, and I always remember her fondly. I followed her blogs. Amazing, amazing lady. Tanya's words will live on forever. Condolences. So, and her brother says, so really she hasn't gone. Light hasn't faded. It's spread around in each of you. Yes. Oh, yes. We're here. And we, as with Tanya, wanted to give Maddie a voice. We want to give Tanya a voice. And whenever possible, if we're posting, let's look back and refer to the little things that we've found on Tanya's blog, because as I say, I love her writing. She was such a talented lady. And it is just hard to believe. I still, personally, I can't believe it. I don't think anybody else can believe it. And the fact that she was posting so recently, I think her last blog post was December the 20th. And Jill Haven from Complete Mystery was saying that she was on the forum just, a few days before. So she was so active. And the downside to being so caring, to being so there for others, was that she wasn't there for herself. She seemed to lose sight of caring for herself. Oh, that's sad to hear. That's so sad. But I think the words in those two quotes that I gave you, I think that tells you who she was. Am I right in that? Was I right? I mean, she posted them on her Facebook page, so obviously it was something that she felt. And I think we all do that. When we read something that inspires us, we post it. Her light will always shine brightly. Yes, it will. So it's, I don't know. I would have loved if somebody could have come up and spoken about her, but that's okay. We've got the chat. Indeed, she has. But please don't forget that she is with us and helping each other, each and every one of you. Yes, that's so true. That is so true. She, somebody like Tanya just doesn't go away, right? Like she says, crazy. Yes, she did have health issues, but yeah, it sounds Happy to hear about that. I wish I'd have had time to put a video together for her. Unfortunately, that wasn't possible. It was such a shock. I'm just grateful that I was able to spend time on here to be able to get together and get everybody together and remind her. And really pleased to have that you came to join us, Clunge. Really pleased about that, and give my condolences to yourself and your family and friends. It must be just heartbreaking. I can't even imagine the shock that you must be going through. So, is there any more comments that we can put up, or anything anybody wants to say before we go? We won't go there, Clunge. This isn't the time. And she could be a pain in the dark side. You have to save that for another day, Clunge. But it was without malice. And once you'd come round to her way of thinking, it was all good again. Yeah, I mean, that's a given. That's an absolute given. So I like I said, I wish I had a video or something that I could share, and just take a moment to remember her by. But I hope by reading out that one important blog, because I think everybody is curious, and it's her one message to stay with us all about what happened to Maddie. And to be honest, I think for the most part, she was spot on there with what I believe also, and many others. So is there anything anybody else would like to say?
Just giving a few minutes for some of the comments in case they do, because it's a little slow.
Yeah. Yeah, I see Carrie's put up Tanya's link. And of course, also, don't forget to go to Complete Mystery of Madeleine McCann, Jill Haven's forum, because she was present there for many, many, many blogs that were focused on there. Okay, I see. Yeah. Can I just say, before I get to the point of not seeing through the tears, golly, I've been very careful. You can tell and I'm not a family member. I mean, can you imagine?
Wrong one. Oh, here it is.
A heartfelt thank you to each and every one of you who enriched Tanya's life. As much as she did ours. As much. I went back over my messages with her, and it's so sad. It's so sad. So I wish, well, we can still do more. We can still always share, and please contact me, Clunge, if there's anything else that you think I could do. I'll do my best. It's Michael Shore. It's too sad to lose such a caring person. Her blogs were some of the first things I read when I joined groups. And yes, I think many of us when we first started, Tanya was just Hobnob. I mean, why did she use that name? I don't know, but I know somebody mentioned the other day they'll never be able to have a Hobnob again, and you kind of, I kind of see that. Yeah, Godspeed, Tanya. Fly high. Sometimes it takes dark times for a person to truly shine, and her guiding light was getting the best for everybody. I see Revy Green, and this is it. We're hopefully people that didn't know her will finally get to know her and see how great her blog was, and know that in the Maddie case, you can certainly go to her blog, and I haven't read all her blogs, obviously, but I'm sure that just about all of them are worthwhile. I did see quite a few on hedgehogs. But yeah, I think I think hopefully she'll be happy that we've done this for her. Oh, they were her favorite biscuits for her from Forbidden List of Sugary Goodies. Okay. Now we know.
I don't know what a hobnob is. I think it was on Mary Poppins or Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, but I don't know what a hobnob is.
I think there was a picture here on her. Is it? Oh, of course I've changed. On her profile thing. Yeah, on this. I think that's maybe what Hobnobs looks like.
Oh.
But I haven't seen them here in Canada, so and you probably haven't seen them in Alaska.
No, I've never seen that because I would buy that just because it says hobnobs. And like I said, I mean, I don't know if it's Mary Poppins or Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, but I've heard the word. I just didn't know.
Okay. Well, I only really heard it from Tanya. Okay,
Well,
there was
so there.
that last message.
Nope,
Oh,
not that one.
not that one.
This one.
Peter James Cullen. What was her name on Twitter? Was she part of Twitter? I don't know. Was she?
Nessie answered it.
Oh, her Twitter name is Hobnob. Oh, well, there you go. That would be great to get on there and just leave a little message. Tell me, Clunge, do the rest of her family know that we send our condolences? Are they aware that we care as much as we do? I hope so. But
Well,
at a time like this, it's probably not the time that they're looking around Facebook and Twitter and things like that. But please just let them know. And thank you so much for being here. So, yeah, that's really great of you for being here. And before I close, I do want to, and I'm sure Tanya would agree with me, that I do want to share some remembrances of some of the other folk in the Madeline community that have passed. And if I may, I just want to go through these, and then, unless there's anything else to say, we will just close with another picture. So I just want to remember Linda, that's Ironside. She was very major in the case. And and our beautiful Michelle. Admin at one of our admin. Dawn, one of our members who passed away. Marion Greaves, remembered by many. And also, and I don't have, sadly, I don't have a picture or anything I can use, but Kiko Turan, he was huge in his research on the Crash Files. Known as Kiko. Everybody from the early times remembers Kiko. Sadly passed away fairly recently. And Dwight Levy, he was a journalist, and he was the one who originally, I think he was responsible for getting a lot of stuff, but he was responsible for getting us the dog videos. But he did a lot more. He was also in contact with Gonzalo Amaral often. And of course, Brenda, rest in peace, Brenda, who was hounded by the media. And that was, what was it, 3 or 4 years ago? Very sad. And of course, one more thing before we go, let's not forget little Madeline. So I hope you don't mind me adding those in, but I feel everybody deserves to be remembered. So if Liz Hamilton also passed. So if that's okay with everybody, if we can just go out and just remember, take a few minutes to remember Tanya.